Remember the smell of mystery meat and the clatter of lunch trays. From rectangle pizza to tricky milk cartons, the 1970s cafeteria was equal parts comfort and chaos. Before we begin, hit like and subscribe today. We revisit 10 unforgettable school lunches you won't see again. Picture yourself stepping into a bustling school cafeteria in the 1970s, trays clattering, the faint smell of baked bread drifting through the air, and there it was, something new, something fun, the Tortilla Dog. Instead of the usual bun, a plump hot dog was tucked inside a warm tortilla, sometimes with a thin layer of cheese, then baked until the outside crisped, just enough to give a satisfying bite. Kids loved how easy it was to grab, no forks or knives needed, just pick it up and eat on the go. For schools, tortilla dogs were a small miracle. They were cheap to make in big batches, quick to serve, and felt exciting compared to the same old sandwiches. For kids, it was like cafeteria food had suddenly turned into a handheld treat, one that fit perfectly in their busy lunch hour, filled with chatter, laughter, and trading snacks with friends. But like many cafeteria favorites, tortilla dogs eventually slipped away. Health concerns grew, tortillas gave way to whole wheat bread, and the simple magic of a hot dog wrapped in a tortilla was lost in the push for better nutrition. Still, for anyone who bit into one back then, the memory is as warm as the golden tortilla that held it. The 1970s lunchroom always had its heroes, and none stood taller than the humble ham and cheese sandwich. Two soft slices of white bread cradling a thin cut of ham and a square of bright yellow American cheese. So simple, yet it carried the warmth of home. Some cafeterias might have tucked in a leaf of lettuce or dabbed a bit of mustard, but the essence never changed. It was comfort you could hold in your hands. The beauty of this sandwich lay in its familiarity. It reminded kids of lunches their parents packed with care, a safe and steady choice amid trays of experimental dishes. When the line got long and the noise of the cafeteria swelled, knowing you'd soon be biting into that soft, salty, cheesy triangle made the chaos fade for a moment. Eventually, though, taste shifted. Whole grain breads, turkey slices, and healthier spreads took over, leaving the ham and cheese behind as a relic of simpler times. But for the students of that era, peeling back the wax paper to find this sandwich was like receiving a little hug from home in the middle of the school day. If you're enjoying this trip, hit like and subscribe for more. Close your eyes and picture the cafeteria griddle sizzling in the background, the smell of butter filling the air. On it lay rows of white bread slices, each brushed with a golden sheen, pressed together with a thick slice of American cheese in the middle. The result was the grilled cheese sandwich, a crown jewel of the 1970s lunch tray. One bite and you'd get that perfect crunch followed by a gooey molten center that stretched with every pull. This sandwich was more than just food, it was warmth on a plate. Paired with a carton of milk or even a side of tomato soup, in some schools, it turned lunch into a moment of comfort. Kids adored its crispy edges and melty heart, while cafeteria staff loved how easy it was to whip up by the dozens. But as time passed, grilled cheese was overshadowed by trendier options, chicken nuggets, pizza pockets, microwavable snacks. Still, no frozen substitute could truly capture the buttery crunch of cafeteria-made grilled cheese. Thinking back between tortilla dogs, ham, and cheese sandwiches, and these golden grilled cheeses, which one would you have reached for first at your own lunch table? Fridays in the 1970s cafeteria carried a special kind of electricity. Kids lined up with eager faces, trays clutched tight, waiting for the day's star hot lunch pizza. Forget the perfect round pies from restaurants. This was a thick rectangular slice baked in giant sheet pans, its crust a little sweet, its tomato sauce tangy, and its gooey layer of mozzarella stretching with every bite. Sometimes, if you were lucky, the lunch ladies added crumbled sausage or pepperoni, but even plain cheese felt like a celebration. Pizza day wasn't just a meal, it was an event. The chatter in the lunchroom grew louder. Kids compared their corner pieces with the coveted middle slices, and that smell of melted cheese filled every corner of the school. It was affordable for schools to make, easy to serve, and absolutely adored by students. It hit every note of cafeteria perfection. Over the years, though, school menus shifted, nutrition guidelines tightened, and the iconic rectangle pizza gave way to healthier but far less memorable choices. Still, for anyone who grew up in that era, nothing beats the thrill of spotting that hot tray of golden squares sliding out of the oven. Imagine balancing a tray down the noisy cafeteria line, and right at the end, your eyes land on a row of glossy, cream-topped buns. Sticky cream buns were the mischievous delight of the 1970s lunchroom. Soft, pillowy rolls smothered in sweet frosting that clung to fingers, lips, and sometimes even noses. Kids didn't just eat them. They wore them giggling as powdered sugar smudged across cheeks. For schools, they were a clever treat, cheap to make in bulk, sturdy enough to store, and irresistible enough to keep students happy. For the kids, though, they were pure joy disguised as lunch. The cafeteria's hum of chatter seemed to quiet when the first bite hit a burst of sweetness, a smear of cream, and the comfort of something that felt almost like dessert at home. Of course, with time concerns about sugar and nutrition, nudged these buns off the menu. But ask anyone who grew up in that decade and they'll tell you sticky cream buns weren't just food, they were a memory of laughter, friendship, and carefree afternoons. Your comments? Keep these memories alive. Drop yours below. Step into a 1970s cafeteria on Chili Burger Day and you could feel the buzz before you even reach the counter. Picture a soft white bun holding a juicy beef patty, then topped with a ladle of steaming savory chili. The result, a glorious sloppy sandwich that required strategy to eat, tilting your head just right, taking careful bites, and hoping you didn't end up wearing your lunch down the front of your shirt. Students loved chili burgers, not only for their bold flavor, but also for the fun that came with tackling such a messy meal. The rich chili soaked into the bun, the beef gave it heft, and a sprinkle of cheese or diced onion, if you were lucky, made each bite unforgettable. For cafeterias, it was practical, a way to stretch government beef supplies and feed hundreds with one big pot of chili. But over time, tidier, more convenient foods replaced this lunchtime icon. Nuggets, sandwiches, and prepackaged meals left little room for something so chaotic. Still, those who grew up with chili burgers remember them as a symbol of carefree eating. Looking back now between the sweet chaos of sticky cream buns and the bold mess of chili burgers, which cafeteria treat would you have braved again? If you're enjoying this trip, hit like and subscribe for more. Walk into a school lunchroom in the 1970s and some days your tray carried a little burst of colored Jell-O fruit salad. Imagine jewel-toned cubes of strawberry lime or orange Jell-O suspended with canned fruit cocktail, maybe even a swirl of whipped topping on top. It wasn't just food. It was like having a tiny party set right on your tray, shimmering under the cafeteria lights. Kids adored the wobbly fun of it, nudging it with a spoon to watch it jiggle before taking that first sweet, cool bite. It brought relief on hot days, a light sweetness to break up the heavier meals of meat and potatoes. Lunch ladies appreciated how easy it was to prepare in advance, how cheap the ingredients were, and how fruit hidden in Jell-O somehow convinced parents it was healthy. But slowly changing tastes and stricter nutrition rules pushed this playful dessert aside. Fresh fruit bowls and yogurt cups replaced it, but they never carried the same joy. For many Jell-O, fruit salad wasn't just dessert, it was laughter with friends, trading bites across the table, and the simple happiness of a school day treat. On a chilly afternoon in the 1970s, nothing comforted a student more than breaking open a golden slice of chicken pie in the cafeteria. Beneath the flaky crust bubbled a creamy filling of tender chicken peas and carrots swimming in savory gravy. The steam rising from each bite carried the same warmth as a home-cooked meal, the kind your grandmother might have served on Sunday. For schools, chicken pie was a smart way to stretch government surplus chicken and sneak vegetables onto plates without sparking complaints. For kids, it was more than just lunch. It was a moment of calm, a cozy pause in the middle of noisy hallways and endless classes. Sharing chicken pie at long tables gave students a sense of belonging, like everyone was part of one big family feast. Eventually, though, cafeteria kitchens needed quicker, cheaper meals, and the labor of baking pies gave way to frozen nuggets and instant pasta. Yet those who tasted it never forgot the buttery crust, the creamy filling, and that feeling of being cared for, even in the middle of school. Between the colorful wobble of Jell-O salad and the hearty warmth of chicken pie, which one would have made your school lunch tray feel more special? Picture the 1970s lunch line trays sliding forward as the unmistakable aroma of simmering beef and tomato sauce filled the cafeteria. Then came the Sloppy Joe, a soft hamburger bun, overloaded with a sweet and tangy mix of ground beef, onions, and spices. The first bite was always a gamble. Could you keep the saucy filling inside, or would it tumble onto your tray in glorious chaos? Kids loved Sloppy Joes because they felt like burgers that had broken the rules, messy, fun, and full of flavor. Cafeterias loved them because they were cheap, easy to prepare in huge pots, and made use of government surplus beef. Some schools even added peppers or a sprinkle of cheese, but the essence was always the same saucy comfort that made lunch feel exciting. Over time, though, tidier prepackaged meals replaced this beloved classic. Yet for those who grew up with it, the memory of trying not to laugh while sauce dripped down a friend's chin is unforgettable. Every cafeteria in the 1970s seemed to have one dependable star, and it wasn't flashy or sweet, it was a big scoop of whipped potatoes. Light, fluffy, and steaming hot, they piled onto trays like little clouds ready to soak up gravy or sit alongside chicken meatloaf or whatever the main dish of the day happened to be. The first spoonful melted on your tongue with a buttery smoothness that felt like pure comfort. Lunch ladies loved them because they were cheap and easy to make in huge batches, especially with the endless supply of surplus government potatoes. Students loved them because they made every meal feel whole. Even picky eaters who turn their noses up at spinach or beans would happily dig into a mountain of whipped potatoes. The secret was, in the whipping, the more air folded in, the fluffier they became. Over the years, instant mashed potatoes and frozen sides replaced this cafeteria classic, stripping away some of that handmade texture. But for those who remember, whipped potatoes were the quiet hero of school lunches, simple, satisfying, and always there when you needed a little comfort. If you've enjoyed this trip down memory lane, hit like and subscribe for more. And that wraps up our journey through the unforgettable lunches of the 1970s. From the wobbly fun of Jell-O to the cozy comfort of chicken pie, each dish carried more than just flavor. It carried memories of childhood friends and simpler times. Which of these classics would you love to taste again? Share your memories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this trip back in time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more nostalgic journeys.